In a so-called free state, officials and stakeholders concoct solutions to problems often created by other bureaucrats and with little regard for infringements on the people. These stories are born at the apex of freedom and entrepreneurship. We foolishly advocate for the taxpayer. Brian's Beat presents Freedom Fools.
But exactly what did they discover? How can it be they discovered? I'm glad they changed that name. It's Saturday. Welcome to Freedom Fools on WBSM. How are you today? Just one of many shows born at the apex of freedom, entrepreneurship, and nomadism. I'm Brian. This is Brian's Beat. Glad to have you on a Saturday afternoon. And thank you to Paul. Paul's doing a bang-up job in the morning now. Got an extra hour because Ken was off today. 508-9960-500. I'll get into that discovery thing in just a bit. Today is International Women's Day of Peace and Disarmament. Good luck with that. International Women's Day for Peace and Disarmament. Well, I don't know how many women are getting into these battles, but you look over in Asia, Pakistan, West Asia. There are little skirmishes, battles going on all over the planet. So good luck with that Day of Peace and Disarmament. I hear that there's even fighting weekend, here we go, in the Gaza Strip. It's also Brother's Day. Now, I don't have a brother. Hey, brother. I mean, I've got those kind of brothers, but I don't have a biological brother or, you know, I guess, what do you call that? A step brother or a half brother. I don't have a brother, but it is Brother's Day. And you know how my brain gets twisted. I was wondering, in the families where the couple, or I don't know how they intersected, how they became a new nuclear family. But if there is a son and a daughter, and the daughter decides to trans to a boy man, do they celebrate Brother's Day? I guess they could. I mean, I think that's more with the individuals involved. I did look it up. I did look it up, yes. And under Brother's Day, all the different things that they said about Brother's Day, all great things that they said about Brother's Day. Not one iota about trans. And my guess is when I go to look it up under Sister's Day, we'd have something similar. 1607. 100 English settlers land in Jamestown, New World. The first English settlement in what would soon, give or take 180, 90 years, what would soon become the United States of America. I said before, but what did they discover? Note I said they landed at Jamestown. Because they didn't discover anything, unlike Christopher Columbus, who was fortunate enough to discover Cuba, Puerto Rico, Dominica, even though there were people there. Yeah. Anyway, they landed. And I know this is picking hairs. How do we know 100 English settlers. My guess is, there are logbooks that would tell us that 100 got off the boat. I'm reasonable about that. How many started the journey? Okay. 4 men are convicted of bombing the World Trade Center in New York in 1993 and are sentenced, each sentenced 240 years in prison. That was a sad day that eventually led to an even sadder day on September 11, 2001. A lot of people died in that explosion at the World Trade Center in 1993. Now, here's something that I want to impress upon you. And I'm not really chuckling when I say this. President Trump spoke the other day about the Golden Dome, $175 billion. That Golden Dome would not have stopped that World Trade Center bombing. Just saying. And it would not have stopped this disaster. Uvalde, Texas, 2022, mass shooting at the Robb Elementary School. 21 people, including 9 kids, dead. I don't know about you. I had never heard of Uvalde, Texas before then. Every time I think of that particular town, the only thing that comes to my mind is a total disaster. Again, the Golden Dome won't stop the kind of things that we see happening here in the United States of America. Just saying. The Brian's B quote of the day: Your true worth is determined by how much more you give in value than you take in payment. Your true worth is determined by how much more you give in value than you take in payment. That quote from Bob Berg. Berg is B-U-R-G. Pretty good quote, and it's true. I remember when I first started in sales, I was pretty much thinking, how much am I going to make on this deal? How much am I going to make on that deal? And I didn't make anything on that deal or this deal because I was thinking more about what I was going to take in than about the people that I was trying to serve. And I didn't realize it at the time, but they can see that. One of the things that I really appreciate about the account executives that we have at this radio station, the ones that I know, they do think first about the customer. I'm not trying to say that somewhere in the back of their head, dollar signs aren't clicking. But I know when I hear them on the telephone, they are thinking about the customer, should say the client first. Now, that doesn't mean, hey, pick up the phone and give them a call. I'm just trying to bring out some truth here. Your true worth is determined by how much more you give in value than you take in payment. A lot of things that I intend to get to this hour on Freedom Fools. We have a guest coming up in a few minutes. He just happens to be at a graduation ceremony right now, so we're giving him a little extra time to do that. And then we're going to be joined by Mark Skousen. This guy, I mean, he's got a vita deeper than Buzzards Bay. I mean, he is unbelievable. He's an economist. He's got a festival coming up real soon that we're going to be talking about on the program today. Hour number 2. We have heard about, we have read about, and we know about the uptick in violence in the city of New Bedford. Well, the faith community has decided they want to do something about it. They've got something happening toward the end of next week that we will get into during hour number 2 on the program. I am going to take a couple of moments right now. I did bring up the president, and if you listened at all to the program on Wednesday or Thursday, I believe it was the show on Wednesday. I ended the show with this piece right here with the president from South Africa and President Trump. Little discussion that was going on back and forth.
But you do allow them to take land.
No.
You do allow them to take land.
Nobody can take land.
And then when they take the land, they kill the white farmer. And when they kill the white farmer, nothing happens to them.
No, there is
nothing happens to them.
There is criminality in our country. People who do get killed, unfortunately through criminal activity, are not only white people. Majority of them are black people. And we have now been utilized.
The farmers are not black.
I
don't say that's good or bad, but the farmers are not black. And the people that are being killed in large numbers, and you saw all those grave sites, and those are people that loved ones going, I guess on a Sunday morning, they told me, to pay respect to their loved ones that were killed. Their heads chopped off. They died violently. And you know, I mean, we're here to talk about it, and I didn't know we'd get involved.
You heard the South African president. He was Cyril Ramaphosa is his name. He didn't know that he was going there to talk about it, and I'm going to say shame on him for not realizing that something like that would come up in conversation. I was here. I was not in Washington. I certainly was not at the Oval Office. So I don't know exactly everything that Ramaphosa said to Donald Trump, but the reports that have come out through every media source states that he was charming in all of their discussions, very affable, very gracious. And so when the president was asked a question by a reporter, I'm not sure exactly who the reporter was, but it triggered the response from Donald Trump. You just heard a piece of it right there prior to the president showing a bunch of pictures where he was saying, death, death, death. We find out after the fact, and I'm surprised that the White House and others, and I sit here and I bit my tongue at that particular time because I wanted reinforcement on this. Now, everything that I've watched and read dealing with what's going on in South Africa is that when there have been killings on farms, the majority of the people that have died on the farms are black people. The records from the South African government show 30. They don't really, the government does not, for whatever reason, keep a tally if that's a black person, a white person, a colored person, whatever the case may be. The statistics that newspapers from South Africa and around the globe have are 7 white farmers and 30, I want to say 30 other, I guess 23 others. So I don't know where President Trump is getting his numbers from. My guess is his staff fed him a lot of information. Turns out the pictures that the president was showing, it's kind of like that other picture that was photoshopped, except that these were pictures from another incident. Apparently the incident was in the Democratic Republic of the Congo. So what's going on here? Are people trying to trip the president up and make him look foolish? Or is the president of the United States of America doing it on his own? A reporter, I believe from Reuters, don't quote me on that, and I'm telling you, it might not have been Reuters. It might have been the Associated Press. Laid claim to one of the pictures. He was surprised to see the president show that picture. And the roadside graves shown on the video, it was a memorial. It was not a mass grave site. A memorial for people that had died of both, I say both colors. In South Africa, they have multicolors. So I don't know what that's telling you, but it's telling me there is mis or disinformation coming out. I say dis because it's deliberate. Either the president was fed that information and the president doesn't know, so he's feeding us misinformation, but others that are giving it to him are feeding him disinformation. And I'd love to talk a little bit more about it right now, but I got to take a break. We're going to come back with a guest. We can bring this up a little bit later on in the show. When we come back, Mark Skouhuizen on Freedom Fools on WBSM. Yeah, the show's called Freedom Fools. I'm the lead fool around here. I'm Brian. Glad to have you with me on a Saturday afternoon. I guess on the West Coast, it's still Saturday morning, and our guest has been at a graduation ceremony. We'll find out about that in just a couple of minutes. If you look at Mark Skouhuizen's vita, his resume, this impressive is not a big enough word. The depth of New Bedford Harbor or Buzzards Bay isn't deep enough to cover everything that Mark Skouhuizen has done in his life. He is a FUD, PhD. He is a professor at Chapman University. He is also the founder of Freedom Fest. And I say the founder, I think he actually started it way back when under another name. And, Freedom Fest is coming up, I believe, the week of June 11th. I'm bringing it to you right now and bringing Mark onto the program because he's got a lot to say, not only about Freedom Fest, but also about what's going on right now in the United States of U.S. of A. So let's welcome to the program Mark Skouhuizen. Mark, good afternoon, good morning to you. Welcome to Freedom Fools.
Well, thank you. I have just finished up the graduation ceremony of many of my students here at Chapman University, and they are prepared to go out into the world and defend free markets and free minds.
Well, I hope they are. Do me a favor. If you could take your finger and put it down on the map, where is Chapman University?
It's in Orange County, probably the only free market Republican part of California these days, in Southern California, not far from Disneyland and the beautiful rolling hills. It's a real nice area, and it's a beautiful day today.
You kind of like me. I'm going to say, I say me kind of like you. You are part of the Austrian economics pool, and I appreciate that so much. You've got so many books. Are all of these books basically for your students? I see Investing in One Lesson, Maxims of Wall Street.
Well, I have. I actually use my economics. I teach economics, business, and finance. So the textbooks that I require depend on the course I'm taking. So right now I'm using the book, The Making of Modern Economics, which is a history of the great economic thinkers from Adam Smith on. And Adam Smith is the heroic figure in that book. So that's a unique textbook because it's the only history of economics that's actually a story with Adam Smith as the hero, and his enemies are Marx, Keynes, and Veblen, and his supporters who defend him are the French laissez-faire, the Austrian school of Mises and Hayek, the Chicago school of Milton Friedman, and so forth. It's really a battle of ideas, and I have a good ending in The Making of Modern Economics, with the collapse of the Berlin Wall and the collapse of the Soviet central socialist model defeated. So it's, capitalism won that debate.
Now, how much of this conjured up in your head while you were an analyst with the CIA?
I do have a eclectic background. So my first job outside of college was working as an economic analyst on the overt, not the covert side of the CIA. But they did teach me a lot about globalization. It was in the 1970s during the energy crisis. So we had to encourage the president of the United States to stop his wage price controls. I actually did a paper on the world beef situation, and we told the White House, they said, listen, as soon as you eliminate the price controls on beef, prices of beef will decline, not rise, will decline. Well, they didn't believe it at all, but that's in fact what happened because beef producers were holding off their product on the market, and when they eliminated the price controls, suddenly beef was inundating the grocery stores. So we proved to be right. But because of stuff like that, I decided to leave the CIA after 3 years and have been in the private sector and teaching at universities around the country.
You also consult, or you did, IBM, Hutchinson, Tech. Whew, man, how do you find the time?
Well, I'm actually, when I focus on a particular project, I'm a pretty fast worker, and I'm able to put out books and special reports and stuff like that rather quickly. It's kind of like Benjamin Franklin said, it's incredible the quantity of good that an individual can do if he makes a business out of it, make it a profitable decision. And when that happens, you tend to work quickly and successfully.
I do agree with you on that. Mark Skousen is our guest. He, graduation ceremony that he was a part of over at Chapman University. Glad to have you on the program today. Can we bring it into where we are right now, 2025? In particular, tariffs. You just told us about the milk, and I was going to say the milk pricing, the beef pricing. Your thoughts on President Trump's tariff rollouts?
Well, as a matter of fact, you mentioned my Freedom Fest conference, which I've been doing for 15 years now. We're having a special event on the Global Economic Summit and debating this very issue with people who are in favor of the tariffs and those who are against it. I am obviously taking the side that this is a tax increase. This is very disruptive to the supply chains and globalization. We cannot go back to a protectionist, nationalistic economy that Trump is trying to do here. I have no problem if Trump is simply using this as a negotiation technique to reduce barriers and to make sure for U.S. products and exports are treated fairly and equitably, a fair trade. There's no problem with that. But there's no evidence that that's the actual outcome. Trump sounds like a protectionist of the old school, the old Luddites of trying to keep progress from occurring. We are a global economy. Look, 40% of all auto parts for U.S.-produced Fords and Chevrolets and Cadillacs, 40% are auto parts that come from abroad. And the iPhone, this is so ridiculous for Trump to think that the Apple iPhone can be built in the United States unless you want to charge people, consumers, $3,000 to $4,000, maybe even more for an iPhone, because 30 countries are involved in the producing an iPhone. And yes, it's put together all together in China. But look, do we want to make China more of our enemy? Well, if we start putting millions of Chinese out of work that are producing products for Americans, when products don't, Frederic Bastiat, the great French economist, said, if goods don't pass borders, armies will. So it's a very dangerous game that Donald Trump is playing these days. But we'll see. One thing that we do at Freedom Fest is we present fairly both sides, and the Trump supporters will be there to make their case, and then the critics will be in there as well. So it'll be an interesting debate at our big conference, which is next month, June 11th through the 14th. It's going to be in Palm Springs, California. So
why Palm Springs? You used to do this in Vegas. Is this a one-off or what?
Well, no, we do it still. We still do it in Vegas every other year. So last year we were in Las Vegas. We had 2,500 people there, 2,100 people there. And this year we'll have maybe 1,500. It's not as big. People, for whatever reason, it's a little bit more expensive to get to California and to get to Palm Springs. But we're still going to have a very big crowd. And if people, and we're still open to sell tickets, so I hope people will come. If they go to freedomfest.com, they can read all about our 150 speakers and debates and panels and stuff like that. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Is it going to be an indoor or an outdoor fair? I mean, Palm Springs can probably be kind of hot, but it certainly would be nice to be outdoors.
It's going to be 100 degrees, although in the evening it's very pleasant. It'll be only 80 or 75. But during the daytime, yes, we'll be in air-conditioned Palm Springs Convention Center, which is a beautiful center. And Palm Springs is really cool. It's kind of Hollywood's getaway, and we're going to have a tour of the homes of Frank Sinatra and Grant. And, a lot of these Hollywood stars had homes, second homes, and we're going to do a little tour there. We're going to go to Mervin's Restaurant, which is Frank Sinatra's favorite restaurant there, for dinners and stuff. So it's going to be a lot of fun.
Sounds like it. Freedom Fest of the week of, I guess, midweek, June 11th through the 14th. And do you know where it's going to be the following year, back in Vegas?
Yes. And then we're going to go back to Caesars Forum, which is a really nice new convention center that Caesars Palace has created in Vegas. It'll be July 8th through the 11th. And it's celebrating the 250th anniversary of our country. So it should be a lot of fun.
So you started this as Fee Fest. And I guess you were with Fee before that, the Foundation for Economic Education. You moved on, and the people at Fee, I guess, rebranded, or you took it back and branded it as Freedom Fest?
Correct. Fee Fest was the very first national convention. I really thought it would be, how can we reignite the freedom movement? This was in 2002, right after the 9/11 event. And I said, we need to bring together all the freedom organizations, all the freedom lovers, and can we come together to learn, network, celebrate, and socialize? And it's turned out to be a very success. And now it's Freedom Fest. It's independent of any organization or any political party. So we always try to present lots of debates, lots of panels, lots of differing opinions. It's really a lot of fun. It's the highlight of my life every year.
Mark Skousen is our guest. Mark, I've got to ask this because folks know me. I'm huge on education, and I do agree with the Trump administration if they would only to get Congress to abolish the Department of Education. That stated, will you be having panels on education at Freedom Fest this year?
Yes, in fact, we have Robert Enlows, the president of School Choice, Ed Choice, which is Milton Friedman's organization for school choice. He'll be there speaking, and we're going to have sessions on education. We have Kat Timpf, who is the libertarian on the Gutfeld show. She is going to be appearing. We have Kennedy from Fox News, who's our MC extraordinaire. We have the Anthem Film Festival that my wife runs, which is a very popular film festival. There, and we have a financial conference as well. So there's lots of education, if you will, as a topic, and people are there to learn and just getting together with hundreds of other people that have similar views. It's just a wonderful feeling. People walk into the exhibit hall and you feel an incredible buzz that I haven't seen at any other conference.
Well, I'm sure you're right. I'm sorry. I'm going to be in California that particular week. I'm just going to be up on the Central Coast, so I'm not going to be able to make it down to Palm Springs. But it sounds like it's going to be certainly worth my while to try to do it the following year.
Yeah. And you could certainly just show up for a day or two. We have 1 or 2 day passes. Well, listen, I have one of my students calling from Chapman. I have to go out and get some photos with them, so I'm going to have to cut my interview short, unfortunately.
Well, that's okay. I really appreciate you coming on, and I'll be in touch with you during the week. Maybe we can hook up. It's not that far from Monterey to Palm Springs, not that close either, but maybe we can hook up.
That'd be great. Okay, thanks a lot.
Thank you. Mark Skousen, Ph.D., a professor at Chapman University, founder of Freedom Fest. And check it out. You can see their stuff online, freedomfest.com. It's going to be a wonderful conference. Again, if you're into freedom stuff, if you're not into freedom stuff, chances are you're just not going to like it. And I guess I wonder who wouldn't be into freedom stuff like Freedom Fools right here on WBSM. My thanks again to Mark. I mean, look, not only does he sound good talking to him on the show in an interview type forum, I can only imagine what he's like in the classroom. That wealth of knowledge. 508-996-0500. I'm going to leave that topic. If you'd like to talk about it, you're more than welcome to do so. But I know a couple of you tried to get in when I was talking about South Africa and President Trump. I'm going to play this cut. You may have heard it from the White House. I believe it was on Wednesday. I gotta get my bearings correct because I wasn't in yesterday, Friday, and I don't believe I really talked about it on Thursday. But right at the tail end of my Wednesday show, I played this excerpt from the White House. I got it from C-SPAN, and it was an interview that was a press conference between President Trump and also President Ramaphosa from South Africa. And a reporter asked President Trump about the genocide going on in South Africa. There was a part of this where the president hopped right in. It was like he was on cue. Boom. And all of a sudden, there was a video presentation which caught the South African president by surprise. I think it caught everybody by surprise. But it definitely caught the South African president by surprise. It was shown on a wall. And there were photos that even the South African president looked astonished to see. And in fact, he said, I've never seen this before. And President Trump was narrating that look, I'm going to play it for you, and you listen, and you tell me your thoughts.
But you do allow them to take land.
No.
You do allow them to take land.
Nobody can
and
take
then when
land.
they take the land, they kill the white farmer. And when they kill the white farmer, nothing happens to them.
No, there is
Nothing happens to
There
them.
is criminality in our country. People who do get killed, unfortunately, through criminal activity, are not only white people. Majority of them are black people. And we have now
The
been
farmers are
utilized.
black. The farmers are not black.
We
I don't
now-
say that's good or bad, but the farmers are not black. And the people that are being killed in large numbers, and you saw all those grave sites, and those are people that loved ones going, I guess on a Sunday morning, they told me, to pay respect to their loved ones that were killed. Their heads chopped off. They died violently. And, we're here to talk about it, and I didn't know we'd get involved.
Yeah, I don't know why the South African president didn't think that something like this would come up at a press conference when there are white South Africans making their way to the United States. And by the way, have you noticed that they get pushed ahead of any other folks coming from any other country? Have you noticed that? Because there's a so-called genocide going on in South Africa. I would dispute vehemently that there is genocide going on in South Africa. Is it a violent country? As violent, if not more violent, than the United States of America. However, the majority of people that are dying countrywide seem to be black people. And according to South African numbers, the government numbers, most of the people that died on farms are black, almost 3-1. So I don't know exactly where the president got his figures from, but they don't seem to jive. And it certainly doesn't equate to genocide. And I guess I can understand if the South African president didn't say anything about what was going on in Gaza, because he probably didn't want to get kicked out of lunch. But if we're calling what's going on in South Africa a genocide, then what the hell is going on the Gaza Strip? 508-996-0500. I do appreciate your patience. Hello.
Hey, I don't want to go into what's going on in Gaza because, and I understand that there's a lot of death, there's a lot of hyperbole surrounding it, but what's going on in South Africa, that's been well documented for decades now.
I'm listening.
It has. It has been, you can put it in on YouTube and see documentaries going back decades on interviews with farmers that have gone through it and are
gone through what? About it. Gone through what, please?
Exactly what Trump was talking about. Now, I can't speak on those pictures, and that's interesting that you mentioned that because I'm going to have to look a little bit deeper into that.
Yeah, CNN did a story on it. There was another group of people. Come on, Brian. Breaking Points did a story on it. So here's what I know and have been led to believe. Now there are obvious disputes. One, as far as taking white farmers' land. By law, it is not allowed, and the ANC does not allow that to happen. And the white opposition party certainly doesn't want that to happen. There is another, and there are probably more than one, but there's another large minority opposition party run by blacks that are willing to go out and try to kill people and have been killing folks, they have not been confiscating land because they wouldn't be able to do it. They wouldn't be able to file a deed. But violence, the country is rife with violence.
Right. But you look at the majority and the minority. I mean, like in the U.S., the black population, and not to get too weird here, but the black population is far smaller than the population of whites. So if you look at South Africa through that lens, the white farmers are a very small percentage of the population. So when the president of South Africa, who, by the way, was on film, and you saw it if you watched that whole video, that whole interview with Trump, you saw the president of South Africa calling for death to Boers, death to the white farmers, go kill the white farmers. You know, so
wait a minute. You mean during that press conference he was saying that in front of President Trump?
No, but that whole video that he was showing, that included that. And I would say look into it a little bit
I don't think that was Ramaphosa. That's what I'm trying to say to you. I think that was Julius Malenga. Pardon me if I'm butchering his name.
Yeah, whatever it is.
Well, but I mean that this is what it comes down to. I mean, there are groups here in the United States that say similar things.
Yep.
Okay. It is how you act upon it. But I want to come back to this. I haven't had a chance to talk to any of these white South Africans that came here the other day. I'm curious at how many of them lost their farms.
Right. Look at Zimbabwe, and I'm not going to get into the Rhodesia thing because that's a whole other can of worms. But Zimbabwe, same geographical area, but look at what happened there and the accusations that we're talking about in South Africa. What happened in Zimbabwe was pretty screwed up, and a lot of people suffered, a lot of people died, and they didn't know how to run the farms that they overtook because of racism. They said, oh, white people shouldn't have this land, so we're going to take that land and we're going to give it to the black farmers. But they didn't know how to run the land. They didn't know how to farm the land, so everybody suffered. So you got to look at the bigger picture here. And I would.
What am I looking at? The smaller picture? The bigger picture would be who took the land in the first place.
Is it?
Yes.
I'm thinking of the. It's a tough thing, but I would just suggest that you look deeper into it. Look at the documentaries going back over decades of white farmers' testimonies on film of what they went through in South Africa.
And where did they go? Where did they go? Did they sell their land? Was their land stolen from underneath them? What happened to them then? I'm trying to put it where we are on, May 24, 2025. We just had a group of South Africans come here. They got paperwork like lickety-split. They're here in the United States. And what happened to their farms? That's what I'm trying to get at. What the hell happened to their farms? Did they sell it? Did they keep the land? Why are they here? And we're giving them money to be here.
Right. They were probably, driven off of the land, and then the land was given to somebody else. The same thing.
The probably doesn't seem to work because somebody else would have had to deed that land. I appreciate the call, and this is the whole thing. The majority media is spitting out that story. I'm not going to sit here and say that none of it is true, but I want to hear from South African farmers that came here to the United States that lost their land? Or did they sell their land and bring some money here, and while they're coming here with their money, are still getting money from our government to resettle? 508-996-0500. Brian, this is Freedom Fool. Welcome back. Just to follow up before we've got ABC who's going to tell us what they want us to know coming up in a couple of minutes. But to follow up on the previous caller, again, let's hear from those South Africans who came here. And I guess we have about 50. There may be, I've heard anywhere from 1,000 to 10,000 that are thinking of migrating to the United States. Why do they get priority over other people that are going through similar chaos? For instance, if the folks in Gaza wanted to migrate to the United States, considering what's going on in Gaza, why not give them a quick pass and asylum to the United States? Just saying, I don't know that they want to. But I'm really curious here. You know, if land was being confiscated, if there was a so-called genocide going on, where's the United Nations? Why wouldn't we hear folks in the United Nations speaking out about it? Why wouldn't the Netherlands? Why would not England and France and some of these? Why wouldn't they be speaking out about it? And to the photos that the president was showing in the video, looks like he had a lot of bright pictures, but the wrong location, including the Democratic Republic of the Congo.